Today, we're jumping into one of Ernest Hemingway's most famous short stories, Hills Like White Elephants. And we're going to uncover this incredibly powerful thing he does, a conversation that happens almost entirely between the lines. So the story drops us right into this conversation where a man says this to his companion. On the surface, it sounds, well, simple, right? Almost casual. But as you keep reading, you can just feel this incredible weight behind those words.
And right away, that's the big question, isn't it? What is this it? What is this operation? And more importantly, why do these two people, whose entire future seems to depend on this decision, refuse to actually name it? That is the puzzle Hemingway sets up for us.
Now, if you just read the words on the page, you might think this conversation is about, well, almost nothing. They're talking about the scenery, what they're drinking, the weather.
I mean, just look at the total disconnect here. They are talking right past each other. You have the man who's all focused on the logistics, trying to minimize the whole thing, and then you have the girl, Jig, who's speaking in these metaphors and talking about how things taste. It's like they're having two completely different conversations at the same table.
And that's exactly where all the tension in the story comes from. It's from that gap. They are using the language of small talk, of ordering another drink, to negotiate this absolutely massive, life-changing decision. The weight of what's not being said is what makes every single line feel so heavy.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of it. We need to identify the ghost at the table, the one word that haunts this entire conversation but is never, ever spoken out loud. In Hemingway, he's clever. He leaves us this trail of clues. The man just keeps repeating these phrases. An awfully simple operation. It's not really an operation at all. And then there's this chilling line, just to let the air in. You realize these aren't actually descriptions. They're just ways to talk around something.
The word they are so carefully, so desperately avoiding is abortion. The man wants her to have one. She is clearly deeply conflicted. And this single unspoken word is what controls every syllable they exchange.
Okay, so now we know what they're really talking about. But that leads to an even more interesting question, right? Why doesn't Hemingway just say it? It wasn't some forbidden topic in fiction back then. So what's the point? What does he gain by leaving it out?
And the answer is just it's a masterclass in psychological realism. It's about how people really behave.
See, this isn't some fancy literary game he's playing to make the reader feel clever for figuring it out. It's all about authenticity. Hemingway leaves the word out for one simple reason, because that is exactly what the characters themselves would do in that situation.
I mean, think about it. Put yourself in their shoes. They're in a very public place, a train station, bar in Spain, people all around them. They're trying to discuss something that is intensely private, incredibly emotional. People don't use direct, blunt language in a situation like that. You talk around it, precisely because the stakes are too high for that kind of raw honesty.
And this whole technique, this thing that makes the entire story work, it has a name. It's called subtext.
Subtext is pretty simple, really. It's all the meaning that's bubbling right underneath the surface of the words. It's the unspoken thoughts, the real feelings, the hidden intentions. You could say it's the conversation happening underneath the actual conversation. So let's break it down. When the man says, it's a simple operation, what he really means, the subtext is, I want you to do this, and I really need you to agree with me so my life can stay the same. And when he says we could have everything, there's this unspoken threat in there. If we have this child, we are going to lose the life we have now. A power struggle is raging in the subtext.
And this right here, this is the absolute genius of what Hemingway does. In most stories, you have dialogue and subtext as two separate layers. But in Hills Like White Elephants, the subtext has completely swallowed the dialogue. The unspoken conversation is the only conversation that's actually happening. So if the real meaning is hiding in the silence, how are we supposed to hear it? Well, the trick is, you have to stop reading the words on the page and start listening to the conversation as if it were real. You've got to listen for the rhythm. Who's pushing the conversation? Who's pulling back? Notice who goes quiet and when. Pay really close attention to what gets repeated over and over, like the man's constant reassurances. All the real meaning is woven into those patterns, not just the words themselves.
So, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways here? Well, first, that in literature, just like in life, the most important things are often what go unsaid. Hemingway's famous style isn't just about using few words. It's a profound look at how we behave under pressure. That single unspoken word, abortion, controls everything. And to really get this story, you have to learn to speak the language of subtext.
And this leaves us with a final thought, one that goes way beyond this story. This is a tool you can use to understand the world. So ask yourself, in the conversations you have every single day, at work, with your family, what's the real topic? What's the subtext? What's hiding there, right in plain sight?